life treats us all like blind people. What I'm about to say is a little philosophical, but bear with me. Life treats us all as blind people. So consider yourself like a blind person walking with stick. You just need to know the next step. You don't have to know like the entire roadmap ahead of you for the next 5 years. You just need to make sure that the next step that you're taking is right by all means, and just focus on executing it perfectly. Especially as an entrepreneur, you are not in a very structured environment. So try and structure it for yourself and take it one day at a time, one step at a time. Believe in yourself, trust yourself, and work with good ethics. Like that's how you're going to attract good people to yourself.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice It with Karishma. And today we have a very nice and very sweet guest with us. We have Aishwarya Sawarna Nir with us. She is the founder of a beautiful brand known as Global Beauty Secrets. They are, the leaders in creating different kinds of, beauty products which are useful for our daily rituals. And the products are premium quality, and Aishwarya is here today to talk to us about the entire journey about creating the brand, her personal endeavor into this passionate project of hers. So Aishwarya, I'm very happy to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us, and I am looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you so much, Karishma. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm equally looking forward to have this conversation with you and tell you more about Global Beauty Secrets and all the amazing things that we do.
Fantastic. So Aishwarya, tell us, to start with, how did you start your journey in the beauty industry? How did you form the brand? Just a little bit about your journey.
Okay, so Karishma, for me, this was like a giant leap of faith. Honestly, like I honestly didn't know that I would end up starting a beauty brand. I was a young girl like any other, very interested in storytelling. I was a journalist myself. I was working with a media corporation, and I would get to travel a lot. I would meet different types of people, especially very strong women, from different parts of the world, and I realized that all of these women, they came from different cultural legacies, and then they had these unique set of beauty rituals that they would use to take care of themselves. Then after my job as a journalist, I joined my father, who has founded a pharmaceutical organization, and I started researching into skincare actives. I got really interested because I was as a woman, like I was just generally very interested into beauty and skincare actives, things that we could use to take better care of ourselves.
Okay. So Aishwarya, you were telling us about, your entire journey and, how you started, and, you were just so fascinated with the whole, beauty secrets and rituals from all across the world, right? So tell us, the first step of, how you got to starting your brand, and, what were the first few steps that you actually had to take for it to become an actual reality for you?
Yeah, so as I was telling you, Karishma, then like my journey was like a culmination of all of these three things, right? Me meeting women from various cultures, me like, getting more acclimatized to the skincare active and other ingredients as my stint in the pharmaceutical sector. Not stint, but because I'm still actively working in the pharmaceutical sector, but as a part of my initial experience there. And then also, me just stumbling onto the fact that the Indian natural industry was really saturated with Ayurveda inspired products. And I felt like as a millennial, I was curious about other cultures and what they had to offer to us, and what are the other other rituals that we could look up to for other interesting natural actives and nature-inspired healing rituals for skincare and wellness. So that is how, I got to actually conceptualizing Global Beauty Secrets, a beauty brand inspired by ancient rituals and beauty secrets of women around the world. And the first step for actually starting this brand was setting up the legal and corporate framework. Because as creative as this may sound, the reality is that we function in a market where the entry for any other brand or company is very easy. Like the entry barrier is extremely easy, so the competition is very high. It's also a 70% unorganized market. So it's when you function in such a chaotic ecosystem, it's very important to be organized yourself. So like doing the initial legislation, like filing for a company. I didn't want to end up as a homemade skincare brand. I definitely wanted a more corporate outlook for my brand, a brand which was more easy to scale. And I knew that if I had the legal and corporate financial um, structure around the brand ready, it would be very easy for me to scale. Then I just had to fill in the product and the creatives and the people, and then it would just be very easy to scale the brand. So I obviously started with filing for trademarks. I started with filing for you know uh, the inception of the company incorporation papers. I started with uh, uh, looking at all our NDAs, setting up all our NDA templates and other contractual framework, obviously setting up an office, setting up the initial team, hiring, onboarding the initial team that would obviously run. So someone in the product development with whom I could like go out, meet vendors who could help me, with product development especially when it came to packaging, because packaging was a task by itself. Because as unorganized as the skincare industry is, packaging is like equally an unorganized industry. So you deal with like so for me, like it was a fresh it was like a first brush with all these vendors, and it was not easy just negotiating with them and everything, but I learned on the job because it was the first time I was actually, like negotiating with them, meeting these vendors, understanding what would work for me, what would not, then sitting with designers to conceptualize the look and vibe of the brand, design the packaging with them. um, Sitting with formulamakers, trying on different formulas, sitting with fragrance creators, understanding what fragrance would work, which one would not work, um, trying to, execute the challenges that were kind of raised by the designer. Like, for example, my designer wanted a rose gold and black theme, and he wanted rose gold neck sleeves for all the bottles. And then I was like out with all the vendors, and they were like, "Sorry, we only have gold and silver. We don't have rose gold. What is rose gold?" They didn't even know rose gold. So, like, getting it custom manufactured, finding a manufacturer who was ready to take on custom manufacturing for an extremely low quantity, because we were still new and I could not risk, taking taking the risk of creating a huge inventory base. So then, yeah, so, for me, like the journey really started with all of these small details that I tried to fill in right at the start of the brand. I definitely wanted the brand to look extremely distinct. Didn't want it to look like any other, luxury brand in the market with gold themed acrylic caps and transparent body. We have a very distinct black and rose gold, you know, aesthetic theme. So, sourcing vendors for that was a challenge by itself. And but I'm proud to say that, like 5 years down the line, we did a fair job. uh,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
When you
So these were the initial few steps for me.
yes. Yes.
just working with different vendors, and from right from the traders to the top-notch designers to execute the look and vibe of the brand after I was sure about the kind of story that I wanted to tell with the brand. Then working with lawyers and chartered accountants and finance people to set up the finance and legal structure for the brand.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Ishwara. That journey sounds, so hectic, and I'm sure that it's also been that rewarding for you, right? And I kind of vouch for the fact that you paid so much attention to detail, because I have seen the products, and I would like to tell you that the packaging is fantastic, and
Thank you.
spent so much time in creating an identity for each product. I've also seen the fact that you have this small little manual that comes with each product, and what are the ingredients in it, how it is supposed to be used, and what are the properties, benefits, and everything. And I feel like that is beautiful to be able to invest that much kind of time, energy, effort into each product. It just goes to show the kind of quality that the product has. So Aishwarya, tell me something about your idea behind that. What really went into creating these kinds of luxury products, and then putting so much effort into the nitty gritties of each product. Please tell us a little bit about that.
So, I mean, when first of all, I'm extremely happy that you like the products. So thank you so much for that. A whole lot of, time and effort has gone behind creating products, creating awareness with every product.
Yes.
I definitely wanted our consumers to understand the kind of, I wanted to share the technological sorry. I wanted to share the technological expertise that we have incorporated in every product with, with our customers. So whenever they choose to invest in a GVS product, they should know that, oh, like if I'm calling it a natural brand, exactly the percentage of natural ingredients that we have used in the products, what are the other ingredients that we have used, what is the kind of preservative system that we have incorporated, where has it been manufactured, the kind of certifications that it that has been incorporated, aside the cultural inspiration that we talk about, when it comes to the ingredient or the ritual.
Yes.
So it is not something that I started with upfront. It is something that I incorporated as a part of as a part of our offering over a period of time, based on the numerous feedbacks that were given to us by the consumers, by the key opinion leaders, by the influencers, by other stakeholders within the organization, who told me that it's one thing to make the consumer attracted to your product, but it's another thing to also educate them and teach them about the product that they are using. Because, as I said before, Karishma, our industry is populated with products. New brands are coming up just every day. So obviously, there's a lot of competition. Even if, suppose, if I create a face wash, there is going to be a lot of competition. There are going to be face washes at different price points. So for someone to come to me and to buy that product, they have to really know what's so special about my product. And I just want to make sure that they are informed of it at every level, that they don't just end up with like a plastic tube that they use and then they just like kind of discard, but they understand what are they putting on their skin. And and they are overall satisfied with the purchase that they have made, the value that they have invested in themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I love the approach. I'm also, I have a philosophy of educating the client, because it kind of helps them so much in the long run. And your approach with that has been fantastic. I'm absolutely in, love with that, whole packaging aspect, whole educative aspect that you've given to all your products, along with the products being really, really good and supreme quality. Um, Ashwara, um, you've been a female entrepreneur, and it's been a journey for years, like the way that you expressed. There's been so much of struggle in its own ways, rewards in its own ways, small achievements, right? So,
Yeah.
if you had a message for other female entrepreneurs, somebody who's just beginning, somebody who's in the nascent stage or even in the middle of doing things, right? But if you had, from all your experience, if you had a message to give to the female entrepreneurs or, any young budding entrepreneur, what would it be?
I think my first, advice to them would be to believe in themselves, because if they won't believe in themselves, no one else will. It's one thing for your family and friends to believe in you, but when you go out into the market, when you talk to people outside your ecosystem, it's another thing to convey that
Yeah,
belief. And if people don't sense that belief in yourself, they are going to catch on that vibe,
yeah,
and that would be reciprocated. So it's very important that you believe in yourself,
yeah,
and you believe in what you're doing. It's okay to make mistakes, everyone does, but it's just with women, they are discounted that margin of error. Like, I often feel like when I'm competing with men, they have a bigger margin of error. They are allowed to make more mistakes than me for some reason. But as a woman, I am not allowed to make much mistakes. I have to be perfect in everything that I do. But I allow myself that margin of error. I allow myself to make mistakes, because if I'm not going to make mistakes, I'm not going to learn enough. If I'm not going to be foolish, I'm not going to be wise. It's just as simple as that. So it's a journey, and you have to give yourself that margin of error. And my third advice to them would be brave. It's important. Like, life treats us all like blind people. What I'm about to say is a little philosophical, but bear with me. Life treats us all as blind people. So consider yourself like a blind person walking with stick. You just need to know the next step. You don't have to know like the entire roadmap ahead of you for the next 5 years. You just need to make sure that the next step that you're taking is right by all means, and just focus on executing it perfectly. Especially as an entrepreneur, you are not in a very structured environment. So try and structure it for yourself and take it one day at a time, one step at a time. Believe in yourself, trust yourself, and work with good ethics. Like, that's how you're going to attract good people to yourself. So that's my 2 cents to
yeah.
all the women entrepreneurs out there.
That was brilliant, Aishwarya. Thank you for those, words of wisdom. I feel like they
Yeah.
resonate so much, even with me. And I feel like it's also a thing where, you've come from that little bit of a journey of, from starting a new brand to now, creating something every single day, which you're so passionate about and you've invested so much time and energy. So coming from you, I feel like that advice is fantastic. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you
Aishwarya,
so
to
much for having me, Karishma. Having me say all these words to you, because it's not often that people ask others for advice. So it's great to actually share my 2 cents
yes, it's a
with
lifelong
such
journey.
strong people.
I feel like, when we meet people and, if you ask them for advice and you're actually listening and you actually absorb it, right? It kind of creates this, there's so much to learn. I always look at a different person. I always look at another person with, the lens that how can I learn something from you? Because if we were all perfect and if we all had nothing to learn, it would be a very boring world, right? And I feel like every single
100%.
comes into your life can end up teaching you, it could be the tiniest of things and it could make a remarkable change in your life which you didn't even know. So I feel like be a lifelong learner, always keep your eyes and your ears and your vibes open to be able to accept other people and their thoughts and suggestions and advice, and it's going to take you a long way ahead.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that, Karishma. I think that is what we believe at GBS as well, because the entire brand is about learning from women and learning from their wisdom and learning from their beauty secrets and rituals. So I'm with you on that, 100%.
Aishwarya, we have this fun segment that we've planned, and it's a quick rapid fire round. Okay, so I'm going to ask you 4 5 questions. Okay, we gathered this from all our listeners, and we ask them to tell us things and ask us questions which we can ask the new guests. So we have these bunch of questions. So let me start by asking you some. Okay,
Sure.
okay, all right. So the first one is Aishwarya. Can you name 2 traditional ingredients, okay, which you really personally like and you use them in your products as well?
Two traditional ingredients that I like and I use in my products: milk and saffron.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I use it everywhere. I use it in my ice cream. I use it as a face mask. I use it in my toner. So yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Kefir also has serotonin. It boosts your serotonin. So it's fantastic to be able to add it in your daily diet as well. Thank you so much, Ashwarya.
yeah.
So the next question is, what nutrients, according to you, are important for skin health and a natural glow of your face? How much ever you would like to share?
So you're talking about ingredients that are important for the natural glow of my face.
Like food items or, any kind of, daily ritual, which is very important and you would want it to be a part of every
I
girl.
think vitamin C. I think vitamin C is an extremely important ingredient, and I really love it during winters, especially because oranges are in season, and I get to drink like lots of fresh orange juice on empty stomach. And I think I do notice that glow on my skin all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever I have like a glass full of vitamin C, whether it's orange juice or even and the second key ingredient is hydration. Really, like if you're not hydrating yourself enough, and when I say hydration, I don't just want to talk about drinking water. Obviously, drinking water is super important, but also like eating water. You can eat water with watermelons and cucumber and all of these other fresh juicy fruits and vegetables that you can consume as a part of your daily diet. So these two things are super important.
Thank you. No, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. I also believe in eating your water and drinking your water. Yes.
Yes.
Uh, the next question is, so, what are your views on using a face mask? And, which is one of the face masks which you can easily make at home out of these, which you have actually tried and you love using it. So the first one is a sandalwood paste or chandan, turmeric. The third one is multani mitti, or the fourth one is aloe vera. Which one would you recommend? And what is your take on face masks?
I think, okay, can I take two instead of one, or do I have to stick to one?
You can choose two, that's fine.
I think sandalwood and aloe vera. Because sandalwood, because it's very calming,
Yeah.
cooling, and it is also really like a great ingredient for brightening if you
Yeah.
want. Like it also, evens out all the dark scars and pigmentation. And aloe vera, because it's simply moisturizing, is good for all skin types. Like I've never seen a skin getting irritated with aloe vera unless it is specifically allergic to it. So yeah.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay. And this is the last question. Okay. So, our skin is the largest organ of our body, right? According to you, which, or rather, if there was a hierarchy where you would have to name the topmost thing to be able to take care of, right? So which part of our body and the skin on it is the most important for you to be able to take care of first and foremost, and then everything else follows?
My God, that's such a controversial question. Which part of my body is the most important? Every part is important. I can't tell you one part is not important than others. Um, okay.
Rather the one, or maybe what we could do is, what you could help us with, maybe a part which a lot of people ignore. Maybe, some ritual that should be included for women or for anybody, as a matter of fact, that most people ignore. You can tell us something about that.
I mean, face gets a lot of attention just generally, right? And face and body, they just get like a lot of attention. But I think, you know, and traditional beauty services usually cover like, mostly um, your hands and feet as well. So I, but I do believe in, grooming your feet a lot. Like I feel like your feet is your map of the entire body. So I love reflexology oriented feet massages because I feel like it really relaxes me and it calms me down, and I feel like there's so much of science in there, like the my feet is literally the map of my entire body, and I can treat my entire body just with a few healing touches given to my feet. So I honestly love feet massages. I also think women pay um, a lot of less attention to intimate hygiene, especially because it's not visible. So I feel like that is also something that women should focus on. Just because people can't see it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be grooming yourselves better or taking care of your intimate hygiene. Because I feel like it would just improve female health so much more better if they start, taking care of themselves better during, say,
Yeah.
menstruation, get access to proper sanitary napkins and things like that.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much, Aishwarya, for giving us,
Yeah.
such nice answers in the rapid fire. It has been
Okay.
amazing to have you on this episode. We've got to learn so much and we've got to understand so much about your personal journey and global beauty secrets. I wish you and the brand a lot of love, luck, and prosperity. I hope it just grows and grows and grows. And,
Thank you so much.
me and the entire team, we're all just extremely happy to have you here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Karishma, for having me and for giving me this, platform to talk about all my entire journey and talk about my beliefs. Having said that, things I would have obviously spoken about out of my experience, out of my knowledge. Um, may not be true for many. Like certain ingredients that I spoke of, some people might be allergic to it. So, obviously, individual discretion is advised before they try these beauty rituals on themselves. I'm especially a little careful whenever I talk about natural ingredients because, number one, they are not pH balanced. So, they can be extremely potent. Number two, they are not lab or stability tested. So, I have no control on it. The ingredients and the constitution of each um, offering that we get from nature is different, even though the species may be same. Like two aloe vera leaves, the entire constitution can be different and may react very differently on my skin. So whenever you are using any natural ingredient, please do a patch test before you implement that beauty ritual.
Yes. That was brilliant advice, actually. I feel like that was.
Yeah,
Thank you for mentioning that, Aishwarya. It's been lovely to
yeah.
have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karishma.